His motto and what I've heard him say on a regular basis is, if we don't go reach and teach them, then who will? And so he has a heart for this work, and he wants you to develop one as well. And so if you will, at this time, we're going to watch this quick video of this news video here. And so after that, Kenneth will come up and talk to us.
Well, December is the season of giving, and that season is year-round for the inner city outreach.
Beth Newhoff's the story of a man who says a simple act of doing for others is indeed the good life.
Good Life is brought to you by Tennessee Valley Federal Credit Union.
Every Thursday night, Jeff Curry rides the inner city outreach bus. He's done it for over 20 years.
Well, December is the season of giving, and that...
Every Thursday night, Jeff Curry rides the inner city outreach bus. He's done it for over 20 years.
What you see with some of these kids is this program, this hour or two that we have them, may be, one of the few times in their week when, they have a calm.
Showing someone cares about decisions they're faced with every day.
The violence, the gang violence, the prevalence of gangs in our city, now that has certainly expanded in the last 10 years and in recent years as well. I mean, that is probably for a lot of our kids, the single largest challenge that we face.
When we come, we sing songs on the bus. And then we get off the bus and we have more fun because, so when we learn about God, we learn it more, and then we learn how to act just like God. But none of us perfect because we already had sins, but Jesus!
Regardless of where you stand on faith and religion.
I believe it makes you a happier person if you're giving back to somebody for nothing.
Because a ministry of doing doesn't always take place in a church.
Just look in your neighborhood. Is there somebody struggling in your neighborhood with maybe some health problems or something, and you see their yards all grown up? Just go mow the lawn. Don't tell them. Just go over there and do it. You will feel better. You will feel better about yourself.
The secret to finding good in your own life is helping others find it in Beth Newhoff, News Channel 9.
Inner City Outreach has been serving kids and families with faith-based outreach since 1987. Go to newschannel9.com and click on The Good Life for more information.
It was a guy that started this ministry back in 1992. He was living here with his parents out on the farm. And he always had a mission mind. He always wanted to be in Africa to do mission work. And so he had the idea, well, Mom and Dad and his brothers and sisters, they were doing mission work. I want to go into the inner city. Nobody's teaching those of the inner city. And so what he did is he packed his bags, and he realized one thing. In order to teach those of the inner city and learn of the culture, learn of the behavior and why they do the things they do, I needed to live amongst those of the inner city. This was a white guy. So he did. He packed his clothes, left his mom and them on the farm, and he moved downtown, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Brian Davis, if any of you ever heard of them, and moved into the inner city. He opened up, he rented out this big old building, and he turned it into a male dorm. where all the some male guys moved into that were having issues at home. We had requirements that we had to go through in order to stay there. We had stipulations and everything. We had curfews, the whole 9 yards. Now, whether or not we stuck to those remains to be told secretly of those that were there. At the point in time as he was moving along, he decided he wanted to go to Africa to do mission work. So he met his lovely wife, and at that time there were about 3 or 4 of us in the dorm room. And so he decided to move off to Africa. At that time, he decided to leave me with one of the individuals that were there, a young man that was there, because I did not want him to end up having to go back to Nashville, which way he was from, and he would end up on the streets. Now, mind you, I've been doing this now for 23 years. I had no dreaming idea of ever doing this. I had gone to an inner city camp to visit. And when I walked out there, and there was a bunch of middle school and teenagers, this was a 3-week camp. The first week we had the younger kids, it always rained. The second week it got hot, and the third week, because during the summertime it was blazing. The third week is when we always had our issues because it was so hot. More issues we had with adults than we had with the children. So Brian looked at me and he had a question. He said, "You ever thought about doing inner city work?" I looked at him and I said, "There is no way in the world I want to deal with these kind of kids." He said, "Okay." I kept on moving on. You ever realize, young ones, I'm going to tell you this, when these individuals, these adults are trying to tell you that you have a talent, there's something they see in you, trust and believe me when I say this, that's what happened to me. Someone saw something in me, a talent in me, a gift that I had in me, because God has blessed each and every one of us with the talent and with a gift. It's not necessarily that I can look in the mirror and I saw that talent and that gift, but someone saw that in me. And trust will tell you that some of these young, these older ones, these wise ones in here see that in you as well. Listen to them. And I said, "No, I don't have that desire." My desire, the time that I stayed at home, my parents raised me as a Jehovah's Witness. I never liked it. I never believed it. But as the only child, I had no choice but to go where Mom and Dad said go. So at age 16, I left home. Mom always told me this: when I got too grown, let the door hit you. So the first time I tried to leave, my mom stopped me. The second time I got smart. I had 2 jobs. I already had a townhouse picked out. Had already paid the deposit, and when my mom and my dad left off to work, I had a pickup truck, and I put what little I had in that pickup truck, and I left home and had never been home to this day. Now, my mom and I have a good relationship now, thanks to my wonderful wife. So I left home and I started doing things KD way, my way, not God's way. In that process, I knew one thing, that I always wanted to drive 18-wheelers. I had a desire for it. I love big trucks. I still love them today. So I went to school, learned how to drive 18-wheelers, passed with a 99% grade average. It's about the highest grade I ever had when I was in school. I quit high school because I was tired of people telling me what to do. One of the worst mistakes I ever made in my life. Young ones, get your education. Get your education. It took me 10 years to get my GED because I didn't think the education meant anything to me. But I tell you what, it's very priceless. It's valuable. Moving on down the road, when Brian asked me to do industry work, I said no, kept on driving the truck. Something hit me one day and said, "Hey, a lot of my aunts and uncles had lived in the inner city community. I had been with them a lot of times, and I said, you know what? This is not my mission. This is not my work." And so I decided to go back, and I told Brian, "You know what, let's do this." And he said, "I knew you'd come back because I saw it in you. The teenagers were flocking to you too quick and too easy, and you had nothing to do with them." Me, I just turned 48 this month. I'm a 48-year-old kid. And the teenagers love it. Now, I can tell you this, when it's time to work, it's time to work. Up until about 2 months ago, my wife could tell you I was getting ready to work 3 jobs. I'm a worker. I don't mind work. Put me behind a cubicle or something, it's just not going to work. So we moved on. Eventually we grew. We started growing at the inner city. Brian tried to get the young ones from the inner city to come out and ride the bus and learn about Jesus, and they said no, they had nothing to do with it. With him being a white guy, they said, "You must be the police. I'm not riding no bus with you." So he said, "I tell you this," because he had to meet them where they were at. And that's how we have to do people. He said, "I tell you what, if you will come with me and ride this bus for 30 minutes, after we get through with Bible class, I'm going to take you to Burger King, and I'm going to feed you. You can have it your way. You know what happened when you mention food? Because it happens here. You mention food and everybody comes out. The ministry started for a complete whole year. We took everybody that came to church with us, those young ones, to Burger King for a complete whole year. Since then, the doors of Inner City Church of Christ, as you see on this screen, has been opened. Our numbers fluctuate. We don't run off numbers. I don't run off numbers. I have a board of elders that are over us or whatever, and they used to shoot number. And I said, look, you can't do that with Inner City. You got to understand the culture. It's not the same culture you grew up in. So numbers really don't mean much. Our numbers can go up, and then the next Sunday, it'll go down, way down. This building right here, y'all, was given to us by an older congregation. Back in the day, it was called East Chattanooga Church of Christ. At that point in time, African Americans were not allowed in that building. As the numbers grew down in the East Chattanooga Church of Christ and they began to die, there were 5 elders left, and they walked into us down, and we were downtown in a storefront having worship service, and they walked in and they said, here are the keys to our building. We want y'all to have this building for Inner City Church of Christ. And that's where we've been for the past 20 years. That's our building. That's our home. That building just now within the past 5 years got its first ever central heating air. We love it. It's been stolen 3 times. Because that's the community that it's in. People have got in and stole the copper wiring out of our unit. We finally found somebody to volunteer, put a cage around it down. The only one who can get in there, his name is Jesus. As we go along, I want to show you some slides as I talk, and I'll begin to talk about our inner city outreach. The church began because of the inner city outreach. So when we talk about inner city, to a lot of people talking about the inner city outreach program, and we talk about Inner City Church of Christ, they kind of intertwine. The reason I say that because a number of our members came from the Inner City Outreach Program, so it kind of intertwined. It has gone to the point now that many of our members are not from the outreach. They are from other places where they came over to be a part of the Inner City Church of Christ and whatnot. The guy that you've seen on the screen there, Jeff Kurr, he's one of our bigger supporters. He's on our board there in Chattanooga. He says Inner City Outreach is his outreach. He says dealing with people in his field where he deals with $1 million cases or whatnot, and the type of people he deals with, this is when he gets to get back to reality of life. He comes every Thursday. He spends his time. He spends his money. He spends his wife's money. He spends his kids' money on the Inner City Outreach. Do you see those 2 buses right there? Those are what we call new to us buses. They're not new, but they're new to us. Jeff, out of his own pocket, bought those 2 buses for us. The buses that we had compared to what these 2 buses are right here, we figure these buses will run until Jesus comes home, because that's the kind of good buses that he's bought for us. People are dedicated. They are in this mission. Our volunteers, they leave their jobs. They leave the comfort of their homes to come and work with our young ones. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or to be terrified because of them. Many people don't work with the inner city culture because they are afraid of them. I have heard this a number of times. People have looked at me and said, well, KD, you got it made inner city. I know where you're going with that when you say that, but I'm going to always come back with you with this. What do you mean by that? And they look at me, they say, well, because you were raised part of your life and because you're black. I said, hold on, let me stop you for a minute. I said, you notice the statistics in the inner city? Which ones are they knocking off and shooting? My kind. I'm a statistic there. They don't fool with you. They're afraid of you. I said, but I'm going to tell you one reason it doesn't bother me in the community. Do I go into the community still to this day, and do I get afraid sometimes? Yes, I do. But I'm smart enough to realize, because I have people that even call me, KD, today is just not the day. I can drive up to the community, y'all, and I can just jump out the church van, and I can just feel this feel and say, well, today is not the day. I'm going in the community. Now, when you heard Jeff on that screen right there say that the gang violence in Chattanooga has increased, it has increased in Chattanooga. It is what it is. That's today's society. That's what's going on. And I told Nathan this morning, I said, I'm going to shoot you real. I'm not going to sugarcoat and tell you everything in Chattanooga is peaches and creams, but I'm going to tell you this, though. In my 23 years of working with inner city and groups coming into Chattanooga, never had an issue. I'm not knocking on wood. I praise God for that. God has a mission. God has a purpose. And when God has a purpose and has a plan, there ain't nothing or nobody that can stop him. When the word needs to be reached in the inner city of Chattanooga, when the word needs to be reached here in Boonville, I don't care what stands in the way, God will remove it. What I'm going to ask you this morning, especially you teens and you adults and you parents of these teenagers, is to remove the fear, if you have fear in your heart about your child or you coming to Chattanooga inner city. Because whatever fear you have, let God ease your heart, ease your mind. I'll stand by this until the day God calls me home. If we, and when I say we, I mean the members of the body of Christ, if we don't teach them, then who will? I've said that for 23 years. Chattanooga Inner City Outreach in Chattanooga is the only, you can quote me on this, you can take it to anybody you want to, is the only program that has run for 23 years straight consistently in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the inner city communities. We've had different religious groups come out. They've started for about a year or two. Then you don't see them anymore. There's a thing that we're supposed to go through, and we're supposed to talk to political officials before we go into a new community. Not us. The only one we talk to when it's time to go into a new community and when we get enough volunteers is that of Jesus Christ. And when he answers our prayers and he says go, we just go. The individuals that oversee the housing communities in Chattanooga just found out 5 years ago that we've been running in a community for the past 20-something years. Had no idea. We just that smooth. We were flying in under the radar, as they say. I say again, when Jesus wants his word to get out, it gets out. Here what you see again is you see young individuals, the volunteers coming. Now this individual here, I can tell you, she's a jewel. She's not from the inner city. She's from one of our volunteer learning centers, one of our churches. She's 10 years old. And you talking about, I can tell you this, you should hear her recruit over me. She powerful, and she don't take no for an answer. She is good. I always wondered why some of the volunteers, and they bring their kids. You know what I found out? They said they bring their kids because it was good for their kids. It was inspirational for their kids to be able to realize that everything that they have in the way that they are blessed, and dealing with the individuals that's not as blessed as they are. Tuesday night is when they're there. Tell you about our bus route program. We pick them up. We run into 3 different communities in Chattanooga. There are more than 3, but we don't want to go in 3 because they're my volunteer staff. That's all I have. They close down some communities. The state of Tennessee eventually wants to get to the point where there are no inner city communities throughout the state of Tennessee. So we still have 2 more on the verge of being torn down. They talk about it. But my dream was that they would leave them alone because it's reality that when you close down the inner city communities, then they spread into the suburbs, and then you start real fires all over again, and other things begin to happen. At least you do have it contained or whatnot. We lose a lot of individuals. They move from place to place. They change numbers from place to place. We deal with 3 inner city communities. We have 4 or 5 learning centers we take them to. We pick up about 7 o'clock at night. We're back home about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. They sing songs of Bible songs. You've seen Jeff singing with, that was a middle school group of kids that he had. They sing songs with them. They get to the church building, and you got another group there, and they're ready to take them in. They go into Bible class. They teach them Bible class. They do a craft. Then they feed them a snack. They love on them. They hug on them. They let them play in the hair. Young ones, I'm going to tell you this. See, many don't come to Chattanooga. Well, you can go to Florida. Let's go to Panama City and do the mission work. Why not? Because on play day, we get to go to the beach. Well, in Chattanooga, ain't no beach. You can come play in that old nasty, dirty Tennessee water if you want to. I'm not doing that. But when the ones have come to Chattanooga, they've enjoyed themselves. I said, it's just like going to mission work if we go to Jamaica. You see this beer from, you've been there and done that. The young ones running, they jumping, they plaiting Nathan's hair, they playing the whole 9. The same thing happens in Chattanooga, Tennessee with the inner city kids. They run and jump on you. They plaiting your hair. They having fun. They want you to spend time with them. One of the best groups. And I want Nathan's group to come down and outdo them. And I know you can do it. One of the best groups that ever come to Chattanooga was last summer from Gunnersville. He brought a group of teenagers there, and I'm going to tell you why I say it was the best group, because I could have taken myself completely out of the scene and everything flowed just smoothly. I didn't have to say, stop this, do this, change that, or do this. That group, when they came into town, give an example of what they did. They came into town, and then I cut yards on the side. I cut a lot of widows' yards, members of the church. It's one widow I've been around for a long time. Helped her. Her husband passed away. I was part of the funeral. His birthday and my birthday on the same day. He's been going there probably about 3 or 4 years. She's already told her family that when she goes home, she wants me to be a pallbearer, part of her going home as well. So I cut her grass or whatnot, and I always told her, he's not here. He had gotten sick and died from cancer. I would always be there to take care of her because she never trusted anybody else. She only trusted me to help take care of her. And I said, Miss LeVada, count me in. I'm going to be here. Because I threatened one time to stop doing yours because I was tired. And she begged me, please do not stop. I'll go in, I change the light bulbs. I take care of Miss LeVada. She needed some pressure wash, some outdoor things for her house. The group came in from Gunnersville. They bought the whole 9 yards. They went over there and took care of her house. Them teenagers worked on her house from head to toe, inside and outside. They got done. I told them, I said, go in there and spend time with Miss LeVada. They sat down with Miss LeVada. Her and her husband had been married for 60 years. I listened to people that have been married for 60 years. There's a reason that happens. They sat down and they talked to Miss LeVada. They had a great time. After that, we went over to one of our supporting congregations down the street in Red Bank. They fixed lunch for the young ones every day. After that, we went down into the inner city community. We picked up the kids. We rode the bus back to the Inner City Church of Christ. And then they conducted a vacation Bible school. They had such a great time, I've got to rush home today and not enjoy the complete ride on our motorcycle because they'll be back in Chattanooga on tomorrow for their spring break. They called me back and said, KD, the kids had such a great time. We don't really want to do a vacation Bible school. I said, dude, you know, I'm from inner city. I'm flexible. I change from day and night. He said, but my young ones want to go spend time with those kids again. We want to go into the community and just spend time with those young ones. And I said, dude, let's go. Bring it. I said, well, hold on. Your kids want to come here on their spring break? He said, yep. They'll be there Monday and they're staying through Thursday. You can't beat that. When young ones of today's world want to spend their spring break in the inner city or in inner city, better teaching that and spending time with somebody else. Our outreach program has been going on. There's one of our oldest workers right there. She is 85 years old. People come to me and say, well, hey, what can I do? I said, you got one arm and one leg? They said, yeah. I said, that's all you need. You take that one arm and you hug that child that's sitting next to you. You don't even have to have that leg. We will roll you right on up in there. You don't know what a difference it makes. She comes every Tuesday night and she rides the bus with these kids to pick them up and comes back and she sits down Miss Dot. I don't start our program until Miss Dot shows up. When Miss Dot shows up, she looks at me and she's like, and I'm like, time to go. Miss Dot has spoken. You're never too old to teach the word of Jesus Christ. I learned from her because she's still teaching me from her dedication and her zeal of these individuals. Boonville Church of Christ. Talking about coming to Chattanooga. I asked Nathan this morning, I said, Nathan, your group ever been to inner city? He said, nope. I said, it's my playtime. You wouldn't have nothing to worry about. You wouldn't have a thing to worry about. God got your back. You hear I said that? God got your back. I have your back. I would not allow anything to happen to you. In 23 years, nothing ever happened. I'm going to tell you what, we went out into the community one day with a group, Nathan, doing vacation Bible school. Because, you know, a lot of people say, well, we'll go out in the inner city, so let's go out into the community and let's pick up the young ones and take them back to our building and teach them Jesus Christ. I said, hold on, I want to change this. Why do we got to go in and take them out of their element? Why can't we go into their element and hang around with them and teach them? We're not any better than they are, just a different lifestyle. Everybody was dealt a deck of hands and how they dealt it differently. That's what I did. I said, no, we're going to go into the communities. We're going to do vacation Bible schools right here in this community because we don't know who's watching, who we can teach. They said, okay, let's do it. Now, we've done that for a number of years. So I told one group, I said, I'm going to tell you something. I said, I know what gunfire sounds like. I always have a whistle on. Of course, people tell me when I put that whistle on, I change over into a different person. See, this morning, I'm nice and bubbly. I'm huffed. I'm a morning person. I'm a night person. When I put that whistle on, it's time to go to work. Because if I told my group and I tell your group, if we're ever below the whistle in the community, what that means is get on the bus. I didn't ask you to pick up your VBS material. I just said get on the bus. Because your VBS material, we can make more of that. There's something that may be going on that I know about that we need to leave. So we was in that community that day, Nathan. They putting on Vacation Bible School, having a good time. And it just happened to be right after the 4th of July. Yep, you're already laughing because you know what happened. So all the community, they got all their extra fireworks. Now, I already told them, look, y'all, I never leave the group alone. You never walk the communities by yourself. I don't allow it. If I catch you by yourself, you're in trouble. You don't necessarily deal with Nathan, but you got to deal with me. I ain't take you in a place in the community that would scare you enough, you'd be like, I ain't never leaving KD's side no more. So when I tell you don't walk by yourself, they never go by themselves. Now, you'll see a slide up here, and they'll be walking through the community or whatnot. That's fine. But I'm always in the presence. So they were doing the VBS. All of a sudden, you start hearing this noise. Boom. And I said, look, and this is what happened to you guys. You're going to hear stuff. You may see stuff that you hadn't seen or heard before. It ain't none of your business. They would do me the same way they do you. Now, I'm going to tell you, if I'm walking like this and there's an argument going on right here on their porch right here, and I turn and stop and look at them, you know that argument where the attention just turned to? To me, because I jumped over in their business and it had nothing to do with me. That's what I do when I'm going in the community. There's an argument going on right here in the porch. I just keep right on going. Had nothing to do with me. Unless somebody's been physically attacked, then I call the boys in blue and I let them handle that. That's their job. That ain't ever happened. During the Vacation Bible School, Nathan tell me 5 minutes when I'm supposed to be done. I see. Going through the neighborhood, they started throwing fireworks. Said, y'all don't pay attention to that stuff. It's not gunfire. Trust me, they're trying to get your attention. Stay focused on Jesus Christ and teaching these young ones. Of course, we had teenagers, Nathan, and they were looking and they're, don't do that. As soon as the community saw them jump and do that, they knew they had them. They started shooting fireworks all over the place. I said, okay, y'all, we done for Vacation Bible School for the day. At that point in time, I made a decision. And I'm not the only one that works there. We have another guy that works there with us, Robert Darby, and we also have a Hispanic ministry in Chattanooga as well. At that point in time, I did decide that when we did Vacation Bible School, we would go and take our bus and we would go pick up the young ones and we would bring them back to our learning center. What also that happened with that does, it gives Nathan and his group more control. When they're in their community or whatnot, what happens, they come and go constantly. Kids come and go or whatnot, so we understand that. So what we do is we pick them up and we bring them back. We never go in the community before 12 o'clock. We never go into the community before 12 o'clock. Because if you know anything about the inner city culture, they don't get up until 12 o'clock. So we don't go knock on their door and irritate them before 12 o'clock. We'll do a service project during the morning time. The group that's coming in, Gunnersville, will be back tomorrow. On Tuesday, they're going to the community kitchen downtown. They're going to serve the homeless people downtown. Once they do that, then we'll have lunch. After lunch, then we're going into the community because next week being spring break, it is for those in Chattanooga. We're going to the community and we're going to knock doors. There's some information I've been wanting out of my young ones and their guardians for a number of years. It's hard to get information from the parents or the guardians in the inner city because they change everything so often. The reason that is a big thing for me, especially right now, is because I'm pretty sure you heard about it, was the bus crash that we had in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where the young ones lost their lives. Sadly to say, and I knew this wouldn't happen here in Boonesville, and you wouldn't do this with your kids. Out of those 170 kids that we're dealing with on a weekly basis, I can promise you there's only 5 parents that know where their kids are during the week. When we go out into the community, the kids are already standing gathered, ready to get on the bus. And I'm going to tell you, it can be raining, and those kids are standing in the rain to get on the bus. And the parents have no idea where their kids are going. The only thing they know is they're getting on the church bus. That's sad. And I've wanted to have information from our guardians. If we ever had a situation where we could find the guardian, if they had a situation, the guardian could find us. And so the group that is coming in this time right now, and possibly even with this group here, we were going out and we're going to knock doors and we're going to get information because I have a lot of the kids' names and their addresses. But we want further information. I want to be able to someone to look in that guardian's eye and say, this is where your child is. We have a card I just had printed. It's a magnet. If you're like me, a lot of times stuff that comes in the mail, I throw it in the trash unless it's a bill. Sometimes that happens too by mistake. We have a card and it's a magnet, and what it does for that specific child, if they're going to middle school, because middle school and elementary goes to 2 different places. And what this card says is about the inner city outreach. It gives my name, the other guy's name, and phone number, and it tells them exactly location where their child is going for Bible class. And I'm encouraging them, and what they're going to do this week is going to tell the parents to put that on their refrigerator. Now, what also that does is good advertisement for us. So when the parents rotate and they move out of the house, the refrigerator doesn't go. But hopefully that magnet is still there, and the people that move in next will be able to contact us and allow their kids to come to Bible class as well. That's what Gunnersville is going to do this week. Then after we do that, we'll still be in the community. They're going to pick the kids up, and then we're going to do an early Easter egg hunt one day. And then the next day, we're going to go watch a movie. They want to spend time playing with the young ones. If we don't go and teach them, then who will? Now, do we have kids that have special needs or anything? Yep, there's one on the screen. We gave him names because we never could figure out his name. So we called him Milk Dud. He answered. We called him Chocolate Chip. He answered us. We finally found out his name was Xavier. He's allergic to cheese. But that's just how his attention span was right there. Boy, you could sit there in that table and like, sit still. He'd sit there for a good 2 seconds. Then he's off to doing his thing. It didn't bother us. That's just what they do. I have a short attention span. Why do you think I keep walking everywhere? You can't keep me still. That's why I told you I can't work behind a cubicle. When a group comes into Chattanooga, for the most part, I think one group has ever come in since I've been there and they needed housing. I got a hold to one of our local Kurr and and asked them to house some of the young ones, and they agreed to house some of the young ones. For the most part, the groups come in and they find the hotel that they reside in or whatnot. And then everything that we do in the community, we do it in our vehicles. The community recognizes our vehicle when we show up. So that's when we go in and do. I know the group from Gunnersville, for instance, our church building, it needs some, I showed you some of the good pictures. It needs some painting. And so the group from Gunnersville will be coming in the team groups, and they will be doing some painting for us as well. Before I go any further, give me a question about anything thus far. Feel free, because I want to be able to try to answer it. Now, don't show up this summer on June 9th, or now what's going to happen, and Nathan's going to email me about 50 questions later on today. Ask me a question. Feel free to ask me a question. We have hardly no contact, to be honest with you, with the parents. With just me and one other guy on staff, and we're dealing with 3 large communities, it is very hard for us to have contact with the parents. For the most part, if they are working, they're gone to work. A lot of them do work. And if they're not working, they're gone dealing with some other situation. They're visiting somewhere else. We have always wanted a program where our way to reach the parents or the guardian was through the kids. If you build a trust with the kids, we can get the parents. Now, what is good about this is that there are some kids that ride our buses where their parents rode the bus. So we still have that contact with those parents, but we don't have a large area of contact with the guardians. That's one of the reasons with the process of doing the numbers of the kids. I just got the names and addresses of the kids, those that knew their address, that I want the groups that are coming in to go in the community with me. You know how much I can get done with a team compared to just me? They don't have to, guardian don't have to see me because I'm just going to be there and because the group from Bonesville is going to eventually come back home. Once we make that contact, they understand that these are the church people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be my face. I'm going to tell you what's happened. You come to Bonesville and you spend time with them young ones, then eventually the young ones upset because they want to know where you went off to. So you're going to have to come back again. So we don't have a large group of contact because things in the inner city, they do change. They change homes constantly. They move from place to place to place. Yes?
Do you run buses on Sunday also? Is your Sunday crowd typically most of the young people, or do you have more adults on Sunday?
Yes, Robert runs the bus on Sunday morning. I don't run the bus anymore. I guess it's one of those things, I've been there and done that so long, and he took that on. And so Robert does run a bus on Sunday mornings and pick up young ones. We have a family, to be exact. There's a young lady, she's probably in her mid-30s. She's got 10 kids. Yep, 10 of them. Guess how many worship with us on Sunday? All 10 of them. Is she there with them? Nope. Guess how Monday? We run our bus program Monday nights, Tuesday nights, and Thursday nights. Guess where her kids are on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, and Thursday nights? With us. When Robert goes to a Bible study at a different church on a Wednesday night, guess where her kids are? With Robert. And if he forgets to go pick them up, he in trouble because they were calling. This past Thursday, bus route program, one of her kids had to go to a field trip at school. Robert had already picked up the kids. We hadn't gone to pick up our young ones yet. What will always happen, because it happened again, she pulls right on in there on Thursday right before we leave, speeding like crazy. Open up that sliding door in advance so her child can come out and be part of what we're doing. Her kids don't miss. We pick up on Sunday morning. Majority of our young ones that do come on Sunday morning are of the inner city. The adults are not. They are implants or people that have come in and decided to be a part of our mission work, be a part of the Inner City Church of Christ. So our numbers years ago, to be honest with you, years ago, our young ones, I will say 90% of our congregation was inner city. Sad to say, the majority of those, the seed was planted. It was up to them what they did with the seed. And the majority of them have decided to go out to the streetway, just like I did. Some people have asked me, well, we're going to go chase them. We're going to hunt them down. I said, no, I'm not going to hunt them down. I said, God gives me a choice. I can either choose to serve him or serve him not. And I said, nobody hunted me down. The best thing that ever happened to me was when one of my father-in-laws, he came into my life. It is not by what he said. It was by what I saw in him that caused me to change my life. So I don't hunt them down. I saw her hand right there. Do I have more success with those that have the higher income communities? We don't knock the doors in the higher communities. I think this. Who did Jesus hang out with? You said it, I read your lips. Jesus hung out with the poor people. I'm going to be honest with you. Have we ever had doors closed on me in the inner city? Nope. Have I ever knocked doors as a Jehovah's Witness in your more populated, more income, wealthier people? I have knocked doors. And have I ever had those doors closed on me? Nope, because they never opened them. I'm just being honest with you. We have more success dealing with those kids of people of the inner city than we have dealt with when I was dealing with Jehovah's Witness and we knocked on doors of wealthy people. The people in the inner city, I go out there and I hear the parents, and I'm going to tell you that's disturbing to me. People of the inner city, the parents are telling me, man, I'm glad y'all are here. Our community needs to know Jesus Christ. And I look at them in their face, well, then why won't you come here and go to church with us? Well, you know, I got to go get some groceries, and my boyfriend, he over here, and I ain't got no ride. Hold on. We'll come pick you up. You don't need that. You don't have to come in here wearing a shirt and tie with us. Had a young man. A lot of our guys come to church that wear a hat. So we had one of our guys, this is one of my wives. He was my best man at my wedding, but he came over to the inner city as an implant. He said, hey, I got a problem after Bible class. I said, what's your problem? He said, that guy sat there with that hat on doing worship service. I said, okay, what's your problem? He said, that's just disrespectful. I said, okay. I said, come here. I'm going to ask you. I said, tell me what was the lesson about today. He looked at me, brother. He said, I really don't know. I said, because you was focused on that guy wearing that hat. I said, right? I said, yeah. I said, watch this. Come here, young man, with that hat on. Come here, Michael, come here. I said, what was the lesson about? He said it was about A, B, C, and D. I said, oh. I said, now let me explain to you why he had that hat on. He couldn't afford a haircut. So he left his hat on because he didn't want to be embarrassed. I said, now, who got Jesus that morning? I said, it's not about the outer man, it's about the inner man. Don't judge a book by its cover. I tell people this all the time. When they're talking about working in the inner city, Nathan, don't judge a book because we say inner city. Don't judge a book by its cover. I'll tell you one of the ugliest books. It ain't attractive, but it's life-saving. The Bible, and that's the book for me. If you put it on the shelf in a bookstore, most people walk right past the Bible. You put it next to some doggone Inquirer magazine, the first thing they pick up is that magazine, but ain't nothing in it but trash. People of the inner city and young ones, they want to know Christ. A lot of our workers have said, no better feeling for them to be in the Walmart, one of my favorite stores. No better feeling to be in a Walmart buying groceries and some little kid runs across and says, Mommy, look, that's my Bible class teacher. I didn't ask you to come to Chattanooga and save the inner city of Chattanooga, but I am asking you to come to Chattanooga and help at least one. Because when we help one, they tell another one. When we start our bus route program, when we end every summer, then we start over, we don't go and advertise. When we pick up that first night and we get 5 kids on the bus, by the time the third night happens, y'all, we've got 100 kids. You know how that happens? Word of mouth. Hey, the church bus is back. Y'all better come on and get you some of this. I don't know what they get at that piece of cheese toast every night for a snack, but they love it. Right there's a picture of a group that came in. That's one of our local youth groups. They walked the community. And the day they was, whatever VBS they were doing, they were dressed up as Martians. And I said, oh, Lord, they're going to think they're finna come in and close down the projects thinking all the homes got asbestos. I said, but y'all do what you do. You go and get the kids. You see the kids hanging on their back, having fun, loving it. Question. There is no fear when it comes to doing the work of the Lord. In Chattanooga Inner City Outreach, yes, last year was a huge time for gang violence and deaths in Chattanooga. I have to be real about it. This year, thus far, I think we're on our 3rd or 4th one just starting out. This time last year, we'd already well past that. That stuff happens at nighttime. I've never had an issue. There are people that will call me and let me know what's going on. I asked you this morning, not only pray about Boonesville and the youth, and they're coming to Chattanooga, and the success that I know that you can do, but pray about Chattanooga. Pray for me and Robert as we continue to work. You mean to tell me you can't come to Chattanooga and help this young lady right here? You can't be afraid of that face. Precious kids. They didn't ask to be in the situation they in, but they do ask for some Jesus. Let us not run our buses. We had our buses broke on a bus 2 times. You know why the windows were broken when we went through the community? Because Robert suspended a middle school kid. And when they suspended that middle school kid, and that child couldn't ride that church bus and go get whatever that child was looking for, when the bus came back through the community, threw a rock and busted the window. Our bus has been egged before because we threw kids off the bus because of their discipline. That's the harshest thing that's ever happened. We got kids that come get on our bus for the simple fact that they get the peace of quiet. There's another youth group, they dressed up. We go to their building every year. I encourage you, be a part of this mission. Come to Chattanooga, pray for this mission. Support us in whatever form or fashion. I'm hoping and praying that I have eased your mind about it, that your heart is pierced this morning. They're walking the communities now. They're pierced your heart this morning that you say, hey, Nathan, we want to be a part of this. We want to go get some of this energy that KD got and these young ones in Chattanooga got. We want to see what this is about. I'm going to tell you this. I saw Nathan them in EU. I love the thing. It was called All In. Youth group, those that are coming, I'm going to tell you this. When you show up, be all in. I don't take half a crew. I'm a morning person. I know people come in, the teens come in like this, dragging their feet because they don't want to get up. I'm a morning person. When I'm up in the morning, my wife will tell you, as soon as my eyeball open, it's go, 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 go. Come in with the energy because this would be your program. Because if I tell my workers on the bus, because if you don't run this program, those kids are going to run you because they got energy and they don't run out of it. Pray with me if you will, please. Father God, again, we just thank you for this day and the many blessings. Father, thank you so much for Boonesville. Their outlook is for the Chattanooga Inner City Outreach and them coming to Chattanooga to help teach and spend time with the young ones of the inner city, Father, that they may come down and be able to teach and help our adults even down there in Chattanooga, Father. Be an example. And it's something different. It's something out of their element, Father. Remove if there's any fear or doubt of them coming to Chattanooga, that this is your mission field, Father. We're here to be about your service and your will, to be workers for the Lord. Thank you so much for them this morning as you continue in our time of worship and praise to you this morning. We ask these bless your Son, Christ Jesus' name. Amen.